What's up, my arch fiends of chaos? This is your boy Vince Valentine EX Turk. Well, last Final Fantasy video of the night. At least before I go to bed. So it's like 3 o'clock, 3:25, and you know what? Finally, something has come up. I've been trying to dig and dig until I can find some more Final Fantasy news or anything related to Square Enix, etc., etc. And I already did my Nintendo reaction thing about that, about the Switch getting some Square Enix exclusives. Now, let's talk about a subject that concerns all of us as a community. Could Angie's philosophy, I think it's going to be called Angie's philosophy. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for just only all that hard work to be just a tech demo. That's just my views in the whole thing. Could Angie's philosophy be Final Fantasy 16? Now, they have in the past have done something like this. They've released Final Fantasy 10, 10-2, and 11 all at once in the past. Now, maybe I wasn't probably there when it happened, but they have. You know, and they have teased Versus 13 when it was still going to be a game during the time when they released Final Fantasy 13. And you know, noticed how they had at the time they had the Final Fantasy remake PS3 tech demo, and now it's going to be called the remake of the Final Fantasy 7, the Final Fantasy 7 remake PS4 now. Notice how that is, and notice how. Take notice how Final Fantasy Versus 13 became Final Fantasy 15. You see how significant this is? Since Angie's philosophy was made, I think during the time of Versus 13, it is highly possible. No, not possible. It is 100% possibility, and this is a hypothesis only, that Angie's philosophy might be Final Fantasy 16. Remember, Versus 13 became Final Fantasy 15. The Final Fantasy 7 original remake for the PS3 is now the Final Fantasy 7 remake PS4. You notice a certain pattern that Square Enix does? We could be getting this game in the future. This could be something real big. Now, what I like about the whole thing, and this is why I want to make a discussion on this. What I like about this whole entire thing is it's in a different area than it is in the other Final Fantasy games. We're actually going into the Middle East, so that's pretty good. You know, because there's not been many Final Fantasy games that's been in the Middle East, right? You know, and it'd be nice to actually have environment change. And yes, it's kind of a mix-up because they're going to have another female main character. We don't know anything about Angie, but she kind of looks like she's a badass. She's got that lightning thing going on, but more experienced, a little bit older, but more experienced than lightning. But she's got that badass attitude on there. And the villain, let's just be quite honest, they have used the same concept for the villain that we see in the Angie's Philosophy trailer. He looks just like Idolus Aldercap, except the difference is this new villain is completely religious, and well, Idolus Aldercap is demonic. But you know how that is. But nonetheless, you realize they use the same kind of, they use the same kind of skin that they use for Idolus Aldercap and just changed it around. But, looks like we have to fight some cult that's in the Middle East that keeps summoning dragons with human sacrifices. We don't know what's going on, but that's what the story looks like so far. But it looks pretty good. I'm very interested in it, and again, as much of a big Final Fantasy fan I am, you know more than anything, I'm going to run to the stores, I'm going to pre-order this game like crazy. I'm going to click pre-order until my bank account goes all the way to zeros. Just for this game. You know how big of a Final Fantasy fan I am. So, but I think it is Final Fantasy 16 because look at the pattern Square Enix have done. Remember, Versus 13 years later became Final Fantasy 15. The Final Fantasy 7 PS3 tech demo became Final Fantasy VII PS4 Remake. And we even got more gameplay from the PS4 Remake than we did from the tech demo of the PS3. I don't even think we got the demo of the actual full demo. I think we just got like a small snippet and that's it. We got more of a trailer of the Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS4. Now, if they don't tell you nothing, then I don't know what to say. But, you know, if my prediction's right, I'm just gonna go tell you straight up. If my prediction's right, I told you so. I told you this would be Final Fantasy 16. I told you so. You know, Square Enix has a pattern of, you know, teasing out stuff and then calling it one thing, then calling it something else. Remember, Final Fantasy Agato Chronicles 13, Final Fantasy 13 Agato. What is it? Final Fantasy Type 0. Duh, they just changed the name. Now, that came a little earlier because the original one came on 2009 on the PSP system, and only as an import at best. Then on the PS4 launch, they needed some Final Fantasy games because 15 hasn't came out at the time PS4 was coming out, and so they ported it to the American PS4 and American Xbox One. Even goes out of their way to censor a game that it really doesn't need to be censored, but you know, the point is, what is Angie's philosophy? My theory is it is Final Fantasy 16. Why would they put so much work and it only be a tech demo? And even if it is a tech demo now, they have done things with their stuff before. Remember, like I said, Final Fantasy Versus 13 is currently Final Fantasy 15. You know, Final Fantasy 7 PS3 tech demo. Final Fantasy 7 is now a remake, is the PS4 remake of Final Fantasy 7. They reuse their stuff a lot. And notice how the character model of the villain of Angie's philosophy looks a lot like Idolus Aldecott, you know. And notice how they reuse their stuff. Now there is speculation that this might become a fabulous Crystallium Novia. I mean, if that's it, that's possibly going to happen if Tetsunorma takes over as the director of the game. Or if Tabata takes over, it might get changed. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen right now. We don't know if the future's still there. This might be a 3 or 4 year down the lines. Who knows? But, you know, they say it's connected to fabulous Crystallium Novias. But that's to be seen, so I'm not going to go ahead and say that it is. We'll just see what this will take us. This new journey will take us. Now I'm going a little bit over, and I'm, you know, going to have to make this video really quick since, you know, folks are asleep. You know, the animals are asleep, and I don't want to wake them up. So may the crystal be with you. Let me know what you think this is. Comment, like, subscribe, share. You try me.